Hey everybody, We're All the Lines UK, Matt and Ant here, hope you're all well. Just thought we'd chat very briefly before we get started. I'm back! Hey! It's only been 6 weeks. Hope you're all well. It has felt a long time away, to be frank, but yeah, hope you're all doing well. Wanted to give a shout out to everybody in the live chat right now and everyone for the last 6 weeks for giving the guys great support. I've been watching and you know, keeping apprised of what's been going on, so hope everyone's had a good time. Thanks to Dan Pass subscribing at tier 1 for his 40th month. 40. Unbelievable. Dan says, happy 40th. The last time I was 40, I was karaokeing at a piano bar in Vegas. Wait, I forgot the first rule. Which I love it. And then it must be the first time he's watched us live in a while, because he said he wanted to fast forward the timer but couldn't. He thinks it might have been Sir Mix-a-Lot, but hey, there we go. Yeah, all right. Mile Mark is in the chat saying, hey, Matthew, looking good. Thank you, sir. Damien Smith saying, and hope all is well with you. Carmel said, who's the new presenter? I'm back, bitches.
I know, I've got to behave now. Like, you know, I'm back in my corner again, so I can run wild while you're not here. But now I'm here, I've got to behave. So
absolutely not. Don't you dare behave. Oh man,
I'm stocked up on long snapper jokes. At least I've not been able to use long snapper jokes, so we'll cram some in during the evening.
As opposed to doing all the FSU jokes.
Well, yeah, I'm going to save them till Ash is around. That, you know, they've got to hit hardest. They hit hardest in person, so I can't get away with him listening to this.
Fair. Yeah, Ash is not feeling well today, unfortunately, which is why he's not there. So I hope you all send your well wishes to him. Alrighty then, let's get this show on the road because we've got a lot to talk about, mate. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the Broadlines UK podcast, episode 350. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. My name's Matthew Turner, alongside Anthony Fitzpatrick. How you doing, man?
We should call it Return of the Mat, as suggested in the chat. So, you know, there we go. The episode title is Return of the Mat. I'm doing good. It's good. It's good to be back again. Like, you know, I had my break after the draft, and you've had your break after the draft. So it's been a little bit of a while since we've mixed it up on here, and you know, it makes me sad because I enjoy doing it. But at the same point, we need our rest and recuperation over the summer. I feel rested and recuperated, and 9 days until the Hall of Fame game. Football's nearly here. And training camp is even affecting us over here in the UK. It's just not just Lions players getting injured, it's ROTL UK podcasters getting injured. So we're all in the firing line right now.
Poor Ash. But he did take the title for sack leader in his flag league for the season at the end. He matched the record, I think, for his league, which is a real shame he didn't get the outright record, but fair play to him. But yeah, not feeling well today, unfortunately. But never mind. Hope he gets better soon. 9 days. 9 days until the Lions kick off pre-season. Can't wait. Can't believe it's almost here. Back together again and not a moment too soon. First, just a bit of preamble as normal. Discord, please come and join us there. It's the start of the season now. You've got no excuse. Some absolutely fantastic people in the Discord, so please do join us there. Link in the live chat right now. College Football Podcast back tomorrow. And what are you talking about?
So last week we ranked Phil Steele's all conference teams for the Power Four based on how strong the groups were between conferences. We're looking at his group of 5 ones tomorrow, although there's 5 conferences. There's a lot of players, so we're basically picking our favourite players from each position group that of his teams he's done and chatting about them a bit more. So if you like your group of 5 prospects, then head on for that show. And then next week it's the big one where me and Ryan do our own teams, and you get to find out all the players we love this going into the season, who you should keep an eye on. So yeah, check in for that when that happens.
A must watch. You know, this is where you can put in the valuable time, and then you go into the season having to catch up, to be frank. So I need to do my bit on that too. Please do like this episode, sub to the podcast. You guys know what to do on that front by now, and go and support Lions Nation Unite. Herman Moore's project, bring the best in line content creators together, and guesting on loads of shows over there. So if you want more of him, then do go and check out the guys over there. We're Twitch affiliated, YouTube monetized, tip jar down below. If you fancy supporting us in that way, then thank you in advance. And a feedback form, as well. And then finally, we did announce on Twitter, but I don't think we've had an episode since. We are coming up to our 5th year anniversary of the start of the podcast. So, to celebrate, and for the first time ever, I know it's something that other shows do. I want to acknowledge that up front, but for us, it's new. To do a 24-hour show. Now, whether it becomes an annual thing, I have no idea. But for us, it's especially dear to our heart. Obviously, our I don't know whether I should call him former co-host at this point because he hasn't been on in a while. But obviously, Steve has had his medical issues. If you know, you know. But we will be raising money to support Maggie's, which is a cancer charity here over in the UK. I think it's just UK based, not national. But anyway, he was treated up near Edinburgh, so specifically for them. But it's going to be a dual one where we do one at home and one at your home. So we want suggestions for Detroit or Michigan-based charities that are dear to your heart that you'd like us to raise money for, and then we're going to split the money 50-50 between those two charities. So the show's going to be 24 hours. It's going to be starting on August 15 at 7 p.m. Eastern, we think, which is midnight UK time, and we're going to go for 24 hours. So that is all day Saturday in the UK, and it will split Friday night into Saturday night. That will mean that we're live streaming, watching the preseason game that's happening on that day. We need suggestions for guests you'd like to see, segments. We're going to be going 24 hours. So we need a bit of help from you guys, quite frankly. So please do get your thoughts in. We'd love to hear from you. Right, let's get the show started with some general news and tidbits. Anzalone has confirmed the rumours he is seeking an extension. He's also dealing with a hamstring injury which flared up during conditioning testing. He implied that he plans to play the season even if he doesn't get a new deal. Kobe Joseph came in at 71 on the NFL's top 100. Inside the Den has been confirmed to be coming out on July the 30th. That is the day before the Hall of Fame game. ESPN has ranked Detroit's roster third in the league behind Baltimore and Philadelphia 1 and 2 respectively. And Kate Adams has spoken out in praise of Goff on her podcast, saying that his cold weather narrative needs to end, saying that he has the 4th highest passer rating in the league in cold weather since 2022. And any thoughts on all those bits and pieces? I guess Anzalone is the really topical one right now.
Yeah, it is. It's good to see him there. He's at camp, he's participating. Whether he's going to train or not, we don't know at this point. But, again, it just goes to speak to, everyone was saying that Frank was holding out on this team. It turns out he wasn't. He was getting ready to retire. And then, a lot of stuff's been said about Anzo because of a load of vague Twitter posts and him not coming to, voluntary camp, which he's never done before. It's good to kind of put those rumours to bed, and hopefully anyone who has been calling him a holdout is now rethinking doing something like that future. The Lions players don't hold out, really. They work with the team to get the deals done for them, and I know he says he's disappointed in them that they've not done it so far, but as Brad says, it's very tough right now. You're trying to retain your superstar edge who's going to cost you an arm and a leg, and you've got a lot of other deals to do, and you've got to try and work them all round. And of course you're trying to work it for the player as well, because Alex wants to retire here, which could be 4 years away, 5 years away, depending. He's in great shape. He's playing the best football of his life. And trying to facilitate that into the long-term core as well is difficult, but they need to find a way to do it. And the fact that he's here makes me think that, he trusts the team to do it as well. He could be like Trey Hendrickson, who's flown off to Florida and is not doing anything with the Bengals right now. He's gone. He doesn't care. Hanzo's there doing his work. So let's hope they can get it done, because he's still an integral part of this team. And I know people say we've got Jack and Jack can do the job and that, but even if Jack does the job and Jack is great at what he does, we still need Alex on this team. Like, it's not a case of he can just straight up replace him. We want both of them. This team is better when you've got an Alex and a Jack, not when you've got one or the other. And if we want to win a Super Bowl, we're going to need them both. So, find a way to make it work. We've got plenty of cap space going forward in years. I know people say we don't, but Brad's handling of the cap has been wonderful. There's no restructured money on there. There's no ball achy contracts that you're stuck to because you've just got tons of restructured money on it. You got a lot of room to be able to free up space for yourself in upcoming years because of how diligent you've been. So there's a way for the deal to be done. And hopefully the deal is done sooner rather than later. But the fact that he's there, he's in the meetings, is a good sign. And, hopefully he shakes his injury off soon. And I would also say boo-hoo to everyone who's saying he's faking this injury and that it really is a holding. It's like, come on, you've had 3 opportunities at this now. He's proved you wrong every time. Stop doing it. He's been a professional ever since he got here. This is coming from someone who didn't like the signing either. Like, he is this team. He was the first veteran in the building who gave a damn, really, in this new build. So, yeah, let's hope it gets done and we get on here. But it's just nice that it's out there now that there's no real animosity between him and team.
Ever since I've been a fan, I can probably count on one hand the number of people that have actually said out loud, I want to retire a Lion. And he's been one of those people that have gone and said that. Pay the man. Move on. It's not even going to take that much more money. I don't believe he wants that much more money. I just believe he wants it guaranteed. Could be wrong. Could be right. We'll see what happens when the numbers actually come out because I'm convinced it will be done. But he's key. Get it done. Pressers. Sorry.
No, I was about to say, yeah, agreed.
Let's talk pressers. We've got pressers. Then we've got the rest of kind of just bullet points about training camp injuries, about signings and all that sort of stuff. And we'll talk about the 2022 draftees before going on to a brief trivia quiz. So pressers. Main message out of day one was just the team's hunger. Dan, Monty, Mahogany all sing from the same hymn sheet with that. Dan also said that interior offensive line is an open competition. The team's not going to change how they operate based on last season's injuries. I think the implication there was that they don't think there's a connection between how they train and the injuries. But he said once the pads come on, we're going. Which maybe isn't in line with that. Loss of coordinators is not what it's played out to be, as in I think they just have carried on as they were. Feels good about defensive line depth despite Levi's ACL and Pascal's injury. And he said his biggest concern in his size is the offensive line. Cleve Raymond gave praise to Scotty Montgomery, wide receivers coach now, and OC John Morton, highlighting their attention to detail and precision. Ratledge has taken all of the first team snaps at centre with Glasgow at right guard, so that has been answered. It looks like Ratledge is going to make that job his own. Hooker has improved in camp after a rough day one as the third stringer. He rotated into QB2 for days 2 and 3 and did much better. And reports that day one suggested much more odd man fronts, 5-man fronts, and 2 running back sets on offense. So really interesting that has been the case. And any thoughts on that sort of early bit there that I've just gone through? I mean, we've been calling for 2 running back sets for some time. We don't do it. Considering how much we pay for our running backs, it is kind of damning how little we have kind of been willing to do that.
Yeah, I think maybe it's a case of where they've tried to keep them. Obviously, you're keeping them in rotation with one another, so you want to have them fresh for doing their duties running the football. So I guess having them both out there at times, you could wear them down, and we've not really had a running back 3. I know Craig does some stuff every now and then, but you don't really have the guy behind to pick up the slack if one of them goes down. I think if Varkey's going to expand his role this year and fight for that running back 3 and you've got him in there, then he'd be the ideal person to put in there with one of them to do it. But absolutely, you should look at using these 2 more. It keeps your receivers fresher as well. You've got a lot more looks you can do. Monty's an underrated receiver, so it's good that they're going to do this. And it's not something we've really done under Ben, so Ben's not really going to know what's in the playbook with it either and how we're going to use them. Obviously, he knows what they're capable of, but how we're going to utilize them, who knows? One thing I would touch on quickly is Dan talking about how he does his practices and that, because there are a lot of people who get on him about the level of injuries that this team has and whatnot. And, it's easy to focus on the negatives with how they train, but at the same point, this is a package deal. What has happened to this team as a result of the way they've trained? They've won the NFC North 2 years in a row. They won 15 games last year with 25 players on injured reserve. They've won the first seed for the first time. They've broken a lot of boundaries, and they've improved very quickly as a result of Dan's training mechanisms and that, and they usually built up pretty well for it. When you look at the injuries we've had, I mean, how many of them are one in training or two preventable stuff like muscle strains and that? Hutch, off the top of my head, Hutch is a broken leg. Aleem ACL, Rodrigo ACL, Davenport had his arm karate chopped in half. Like, so many of these injuries that we're getting are not as a result of training. They're a result of, they're just natural injuries that occur, whether it be the turf, whether it be, whatever. I can't think of that many big injuries for this team that are from practice, the way they're practicing and what they're doing. Of course, there's going to be loads of knocks in camp. These guys' bodies have been dormant for the last 6 months in terms of contact and, all the day-to-day roughness of what camp brings. You're going to, contusion for Ennis, it's first big heat he's going to have taken in a while. He'll be all right in a few days, Lopez going to be all right in a few days. Like, this is unfortunately what you've got to do and what you've got to go through. And if we're going to get loads of these little knocks now, then fine, that's the way it's got to be. Because you need to build these guys up to go through the season, and it's worked so far. So, Dan absolutely shouldn't be bowing to pressure from people to try and do this. As again, if all these injuries were happening in training as a result of training, and they were really derailing our season, it would be an issue, but they're not. So, carry on doing what you're doing. And, even as far as today, you've seen he is showing restraint in there. He is, there's a line, you cross it, you're out. So it's not like he just goes gung-ho all the time. He does it right. But he said the very first thing in Hard Knocks, if you could do it any other way, you would. But there's only one way you can get your body ready for the season, and that's a lot of and,
I lost you there just for 2 seconds right at the end. Do you want to retire a lion and just say the end bit again?
You what?
Just lost you for a minute at the end of your little speech there. You said he wants to retire a lion.
Oh no, I was just. Oh, I didn't say that.
No,
I can't remember what I
sorry.
said. No, I was just saying Dan should keep training the way it is.
Oh, sorry, yes,
and not change from that. Like, I don't think he shouldn't bow to pressure to change the way he works.
That's where we were. Apologies, my internet just went for a second, so hopefully everyone's still with us. Please. Going into day 2, Dan said, team out to finish what we started, we're going to close out some of those debts. He said, Hooker knows the deal, you're out there to compete, impressed by some of the tricks, but still work to do. Aguakin improving daily, key will be his anchoring when pads come on. Glasgow's experience is huge for the interior of the offensive line. So he loves Monty's year of reckoning comments a day prior. Loves Hassanin doing exactly what the team is asking from him, like a sponge, but he needs to dial back his motor and play within the structure of the defense. Ad-lib a bit less. And praise given to Zach Cunningham stepping into Anzalone's role on D, working on special skills as well. Cover skills praise, especially covered Sam Laporta well on some routes in the spring as well. Decker praised Manu for his off-season work with him in the gym in spring. Think he's just going to continue to grow. He said, Decker also said he was glad he had off-season shoulder surgery to clean up some stuff. That's why he's been out of training camp so far. He's expected to come back after the first preseason game, so look for him in early August. And then day 3, very briefly, that's today. For anyone keeping track, July 22. Keith Cooper, undrafted free agent, one of the first names mentioned by Dan Campbell when asked about the lack of interior pass rush with the Levi's injury. Very notable, I think. And one of the UDFAs maybe we were highest on coming in. Team felt okay with Tate Ratch playing under center as he'd taken a lot of reps there at practice at UGA. Glad Hutch's confidence in himself is back. Manu's body transformation has been his biggest improvement from last year, but he's still 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And the team's looking to expand Vaki's role on offense going into year 2. I know you had some things to say, and on that last one specifically about maybe Vaki should really, take ownership of what he's trying to do now rather than trying to spread out into a more expanded role. But anyway, a lot to go through there too. Any particular bits you like or don't?
I mean, you get a lot of stuff that you get through camp. This guy's doing well, that guy's doing well, they're doing this, they're doing that. There's not a lot you can really glean out of these other than, these guys are training well. And that's what camp's all about. It's hard to really take away any big any big takeaways from it all right now. Obviously, you like to see guys like Hassanin and that doing well. I know Kennelly's getting a lot of love, which is great. He's performing well. You're seeing a lot of these scrappy guys on the edge trying to fight their way in. A Guacan. There's a reason they've kept a Guacan here and they're keeping him on the roster. I fancy him to make an outside shot at going for the roster. If so, it's clear they like him. And Dan said, if he gets his pads on and he starts sitting people's asses down, then he's in business for the roster. So, there's a lot of these guys that the depth battles seem to be very, very fierce this year, which is what we need because we've got the vast majority of the 53 sorted already. It's just trying to sort those final 7, 8 spots out, and it's trending the right way in terms of hearing how these guys are performing. So it's positive what you're hearing so far. Obviously, little bits and knocks and that. Manu, I'm not going to get into the Manu stuff right now. He's night and day better. He's 2 steps ahead, and he's still behind Skip in the depth chart at the minute. So, right, pause a break on it. Let's see how he does. But if you still can't kick Skip out of that tackle 3 spot, don't talk to me about how great you are or might be. I think people just need to hang the brakes a little bit here. There's some overcompensation happening with the guys who got traded up for and drafted to justify those picks, and we just need to stop it. Let's behave. Let's let Manu develop at his rate. I think we all agreed 2 years we probably wouldn't see him, and hopefully we still don't see him in that period. This time next year, that's when you want to start seeing him. But it's good that he's doing what is asked of him, and yeah, it's just a lot of standard ones here. It's interesting the stuff they're talking about the interior D with. Obviously, again, he mentioned Keith Cooper has been the guy who's going to potentially come through here, but for me, that shows the distinct lack of threat we have from the pass rush here. I think I was discussing it with Dan yesterday. With Levi and Aleem gone, that's 100 quarterback pressures gone from the interior. Like, that's a lot. That is an awful lot of production to replace, and you're not going to have Aleem back fully healthy till about December. Give him 3 or 4 weeks to get back to where he needs to through November. You're going to be there. So, and your next guy up for there is Wingo. Wingo's on pup, and I believe they said today he's not going to be back till September.
Yeah, I'll do a roundup of all of the injuries and stuff
like that. Oh, we've got the injuries. All right, okay, we'll go back to that. But
yeah, no, you're right.
On the whole, yeah, like Wingo, you would want to go into that interior pass rush and disruptor role, but September, that's a lot of. Bear in mind, last year his injury worries. He's not. I think he had injury worries last year as well during camp. He's not had a full off season. He's not going to get one at all this year. So that's really stifling development for a 6th round pick. These camps are so vital for them. So he's not going to be there either. And you're left with, Gio Lopez. I keep calling him Gio Lopez. Why am I calling him? That's the South Alabama quarterback. It's Roy Lopez. He's never had more than 3 sacks in his career in a season. You've got DJ Reader. Oh, sorry. Roy Lopez has 3 sacks in his career. Reader's never had more than 3 sacks in a season. Broderick, got hurt today. Tyleek's not been a natural pass rusher in the past. Now, he could do it. Absolutely. But I don't want to start putting these massive expectations on the rookies. I don't want to say Tyleek can do this for us. Tyleek's going to pick up Levi's slack. He's going to get 50 pressures and 8 sacks and that this year. That's just not fair on Tyleek. For a 330-pound DT, that's heavy. And to get to quarterbacks in this league when they're throwing the ball in 2.5 seconds from that deep tackle position at 330 is tough. So you've lost your natural 3-tech pass rushers, all of them. And you don't have any left. So I think it's a huge concern here. And the fact that UDFAs are getting put in as it's great for Keith. I'm not knocking his achievements whatsoever. Like, if he's doing good, then great. But it's a serious issue you've got. You've got an issue at edge 2. No one's, I know Davenport's practiced well today, but, until he starts playing regularly, colour me very conspicuous about him. I'm just not going to believe a thing at all. And then you got Hutch coming back off the broken leg. I don't want to ask Hutch to play like an all-pro when he's been out for nearly a year. It's worrying for me. I'm just going to flat out say that. It's worrying. Not that they can't deal with it, but I think rationally, looking at it from a surface perspective, you've got to be worried about the lack of competition in there, and you would hope they will address that as camp goes on. Because again, it's unfair to ask Keith Cooper to come into this team and start playing like a legitimate three-taking pass rush right away in the NFL. It's just not very likely to happen. So yeah, I'm worried. I know Dan says he's happy with the depth, but I think deep down he knows that he's got a bit of an issue there, and they will have to resolve it. And hopefully they will. We've got plenty of time left yet. Give these guys some preseason games. Fine, if 2-3 games in you've not found anyone, there's still a few weeks left. Go get someone. Go get them in.
I am more worried about edge than I am about the interior. I think that, generally speaking, the starting line, even now, is probably one of the better ones in the NFL. That just means that defensive line play around the NFL is not particularly great. It's not a hard bar to pass. We should want better than that. So, Hutchinson and Davenport, you can say what you want about Davenport. I think he'll still be a good player, but you really want him as a rotational piece. You do not want him playing significant reps. Behind that, Al-Ghadi Mohammed, Josh Pascal, Ahmed Hassanin. That's not inspiring any confidence at all with Pascal's injury. And Mohammed was fine, but if you're rotating him in a meaningful way with Davenport, that's just not good. Whereas in the interior, DJ Reader and Tyreek Williams is a highly paid nose tackle and your first round pick. Like, no one's going to complain at that. Might lack a little bit of pass rushing stuff in the interior, but that's better than most teams. And then Roy Lopez has played so much football across his career. Having him as the backup interior guy, that's not
No one's going to
terrible.
run on it. No one's going to run on it. I'm not disputing that. It's the pass rush.
Oh, yeah.
The pass rush has always been the issue, and it's about not asking Hutch to do everything on this team. You're going to struggle for pressure from your interior unless you start pulling, Barnes on blitzers and late stunts and stuff like that. And your edge 2 spot is still up in the air, so you don't know who's lining up opposite him. And for the most part, not many of them, we have these big chunky monkeys who like to run defend and not necessarily get to the quarterback. So I just don't want to have to come in and ask Hutch to play like an all-pro from day one off the back of a broken leg and play every snap of a game because they're tight games, we need sacks, and no one can get them, and you've got to keep going back to him again and again. Because he will. If you ask Hutch to go out there and play every single snap this season without a break, he will do it, and he wouldn't even hesitate to answer the question. I just want to look after him. And I want us to make sure that we've got something in there for him. No one's going to run on us with the guys they've got, but they might pass on us. And we don't want that. So, I think I've talked about it. And your obvious answer here, you've got to go 3-4 now. If you're going to persist with this line and you're going to say the depth is fine, you go 3-4. You play big guys like Pascal and that on the edges of your 3. And then you start using Hassanin and Barnes as your outside linebackers with Hutch, and you do it that way. That might be a system that works. But doing it with 4 is going to be difficult at the moment, I feel, in terms of... Someone might stand up and do it, that's fine, but I just don't like to assume someone's going to stand up and do it. I like to know there's someone in there who can, not could.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess my only issue is what you do gain in pass rush, whoever you put in there, that person's probably available because that's what they hang their hat on, and they're probably a liability in the run, and can you fill that otherwise? I think a change in scheme probably is the right way to go, at least a little bit, but then that's what they were repping in on day one, so maybe that's what they're doing. So, God knows. Anyway, we shall see as we go. Looking forward to the Hall of Fame game, just to see a little bit of what's going on, even if it is mostly the backups. It might talk about the scheme a little bit. So, anyway, let's move on to a little bit of a summary of what's happened in the comings and the goings and the injuries so far since we last spoke with you. Waived running back Anthony Tyus with a non-football illness, and cornerback Devard Wilson. He was waived from injury reserve with an injury settlement. Signed the interior offensive lineman Tate Ratledge signed his second-round contract from the draft. Running back Jamari Small, who last year was a UDFA and was on Tennessee's practice squad last season, he joins us. So do cornerbacks Tyson Russell, who is a UDFA, and DiCaprio Bootle, who is a fourth-season player and a core special teams player. Injuries, we've put 6 players on the active PUP list. Being active means they count against the 90-man roster. They just aren't eligible to practice. That's the tackle Taylor Decker. He's expected back after the first preseason game, i.e. in about 10 days' time or so. The guard Miles Frazier, the draftee, he's got a knee. He's going to be out until September, October time, which is a really big blow considering he's counted on to be effectively the biggest interior depth that we have. We've got a high draftee as our first man off the bench. He's not going to have a preseason, which is a really big blow. Defensive tackles, Lee McNeil and Mackay Wingo. November for McNeil, September for Wingo, as alluded to earlier. Malcolm Rodriguez, linebacker, coming back in November time. Anticipated all of this, of course, from Dan earlier. And cornerback Khalil Dorsey is close to getting back. He might be back at the back end of training camp. Active on the NFI list, that means that they were injured outside of the facility, but still part of the 90-man roster. Defensive lineman Josh Pascal, he's going to be back for the start of the season or possibly later. And cornerback Stanley Thomas Oliver, not sure about him. Out for the season, unfortunately, Levi Onwuzurike with the ACL that we talked about earlier. Terrible news for him. He apparently was playing through something in the last couple of games of the year, had some heavy strapping. There's a kind of common thread of belief that it might have been from that and then was just exacerbated as he was training after the Lions were dumped out of the playoffs. Awful luck for him. And he was only on a prove-it deal. Remains to see if he takes another snap in the Honolulu Blue. Fingers crossed he does and he plays healthy, but just best wishes to him because he played his heart out last year. Few players also picked up knocks. Ennis Rakestraw, cornerback, has a chest contusion. It was feared that it was far worse than that. This just goes to prove, don't believe everything that you hear being whispered because it wasn't a pec tear, thank God. Defensive tackle Roy Lopez has a foot. Running back Sione Vaki with a hamstring. Linebacker Alex Anzalone, we just mentioned before, has a hamstring. Broderick Martin, defensive tackle, has a foot. And tackle Jamarco Jones, not specified injury for him. And a lot to talk about there with injuries as well as the players getting signed and waived. Anything that sticks out to you as something particularly noteworthy?
Yeah, losing Tyus is a shame. Figured him and Robichaud were gonna, make life difficult for some of the depth running backs potentially on the roster. Obviously Robichaud still can, but it's a shame for Tyus he's not going to get the opportunity at this moment in time. Getting Jabari Smallin is great. Loved him back at Tennessee. He's quick, he's small, he's nifty. I'd say we don't really have him on the roster right now. Maybe Varkey, but for me, we don't really have a Jabari Small on the roster, which means he might have a shot at getting in there depending on how much time they give him. I'd love to see him get a serious number of reps in preseason, just to see what he can bring to the table. But I would not be, I would not hate the idea of him sneaking his way on potentially. Who knows? Also, DiCaprio Bootle's the best name in the world, and I hope he makes a roster just for the memes alone. Outside of injuries, I mean, the injuries are just pretty brutal at this moment in time, and they're not really good. Decker, that's worrying. He's had to have his shoulder cleared up. Obviously, it's a very young line this year. Ideally, we need him and Penne 100% this year, protecting both sides there. But we know Taylor's had histories with injuries. We know he's beaten up just like Frank is. He doesn't maybe have the permanent injuries like Frank does, but he's beaten up. And, he's getting ever closer to the end of his career. So you don't want to see him missing time, especially with a shoulder injury, which we know he's had issues with in the past. So hopefully he's back soon. Frazier, you know what? I'll be honest. If it is going to be October time and that he's back, I would just put him on season-ending IR because we've got a lot of good guards on the team who could get in this team. We've got Awashika. We've got we've got good depth in there. You can take Sorsdal with you if you want to. Depending on what happens at center. I think you've got a lot of people who you can get by with as depth. I think him being out that long, not coming back till October from a bad injury again, you're probably ramping up his training. You're talking November. You want to get him in the roster then. You're probably talking late November by the time he's really fit and ready to go. And then you're in the last month of the season where you'll probably be toning things down a little bit, getting ready for the playoffs. Hopefully we will anyhow. It just feels like he's going to miss too much of it, and I'd rather take somebody else. I don't know what he'll contribute that late in the season with no training whatsoever. I know Mahogany did it, but quite frankly, I was a lot higher on Mahogany than I was him. So, I'm tempted to not take him in this season now and give it to a vet instead, and obviously get him ready properly for next year. And now we're seeing why we got him so cheap in the draft as well, because obviously there are concerns about that knee and his injury there. So hopefully it's not a long-term thing either. Aleem and Malcolm we knew about, like they were never going to be ready. It's just a shame. It's Malcolm's contract year. I just want to see him back so he can start playing and he can get his contract that he's so thoroughly deserved. Um, yeah, it's a shame. And Wingo, it's not good coming back to September, and then Pascal, September. It's just guys we need fit and healthy for the season. It's just the worst players it's happening to possible. These are the guys we need. Wingo to pick up some slack in the interior to give us some pass rushing prowess. We need Pascal fighting for that edge 2 job because it's his contract year and he's not done anywhere near enough to get a new one with us yet. And he really needs these reps. September, you're back from injury again. You're probably talking late September by the time you're ready to go. It's a lot to miss and then come into the season. It's it's very tough. It's very tough for these guys, and they're just the worst ones to happen to. And then Levi, I'm just devastated for, completely and utterly devastated. Like he came back from a back injury, which 1% of NFL players would. I think it's reasonable to say that someone who's had the spinal fusion, especially when they're playing on the D line as well, when every single play they've got to put that thing under immense strain. We were all very skeptical about whether he could make it back or not, and he did. He ended up second leading pressure man on the team and absolutely vital to us. It's his contract year. We wanted him to be a long-term piece here. Through no fault of his own, his ACL goes, and you're just kicking the man while he's down, just as he was finally starting to find his feet here, and that's just made it really difficult for us now because it's really difficult to justify re-signing him again next year after everything we've done. This was the year he was meant to pay us back for the faith shown in him, and he's not going to get that opportunity now, and we can't just keep doing it. This I talk about it all the time. All the injured players we've had, who we've just again and again and again we've given chances to, and none of them repay you back because it's just so difficult. And I'm devastated because at the end of the day, he's a human being. And there's lots of people just saying, "Oh, draft bust," and people wanting to get on Brad saying, "Oh, he's an injury hack," and all this. And it's like that's a person in there. And I would never wish someone to have to go through what he did in terms of trying to rehab themselves and work their way back from such a serious disappointment, only to then get kicked down again. Like, you don't want to see that. So I'm devastated for him. And it's just put a massive hole in our team for this year, which is going to be tough to fill.
When given he's paid 1 year, 3 million this year, which was massively under what the market thought he was going to get paid, frankly, he can't take more than that coming back. I wouldn't be surprised, given the ACL, if he only got that minimum. And if it was 1 year, 1.2, or in that realm, I'd be very happy to bring him back on that. At the end of the day, if you do lose veteran minimum money, the replacement ain't getting paid more. So who cares? Like, I think at that point, I'm okay with it. So I can kind of see him coming back, but we'll see.
It is. And, I know people use the vet min thing and that. And I get it, I do. They're cheap. You take an opportunity on them. And if they don't pan out, then they don't pan out. But it's also, you've got roster spots. And they're taking up roster spots. And in our case, we do show a lot of faith to our injured players. We give them high-value spots on our roster. Like Levi was our starting 3 tech. Like, he was the interior disruptor. He is a vital part of our team. Davenport, they view him as edge 2. This is the guy who's meant to help Hutch, who's meant to hold up the other end, and like he's nothing but injured, but we've given him an important place on our roster. And if he gets hurt again, then we've got another big hole on the roster. And even though we're giving him cheap deals, if they're going to give him cheap deals, then they need to be in a roster spot or in a depth chart position that reflects the lack of that deal, not at the top.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And I think that's the issue I have here. And we've seen it. So we saw with Mosley, we tried once after one ACL when he'd just come back off another. We should have known then, but then we tried again, and then it didn't work. And with Romeo, with Julian, do I have to go through? I don't want to go through them all again. Once it's 1 or 2, and then once you got to 2 in a row, you've really got to think about it and really be like, I know it's vet min, but we've got to have a healthy roster.
I mean, all I would say...
And $1 million is $1 million.
Yeah.
It's still $1 million. It's still someone you could give to someone who is healthier. We've got to be a little bit more brutal with the injuries now. I've said this for the last couple of years. We've got to, we just have to say, look, we've tried. We really have, but we need this space for someone else now who is not hurt. And because we have enough problems as it is with it. And that's going to be the only thing there. But
I guess all I would say is if it's a choice between Levi and Broderick in 12 months' time, because all of this means Broderick makes a roster, say, and then we get to 12 months' time and it's a choice between that person for the very last position on the team, and that reflects where they are in the depth chart, and then it's, can Levi stay healthy as very much someone who takes a couple of snaps a game and you work him back into it very slowly, then I think that he would be contributing more than most minimum paid players do in that position. So I think what you say works along with what I'm saying. I think you can do both of those things because you take it seriously by actually putting starters ahead of them, but you still bring them back, because I'd rather bring back our injured players because, as Dan would say, we know what we're getting with them, versus bring in someone who we don't know, who hasn't been with us for a long time, because that is a bigger swing. Because culture.
But then I would argue that Mosley was never one of our players.
True.
He never saw the field and he never played.
True.
Yes, he was here in the building, but he was never one of our players. And, guys like we've done that with as well. And, it's a very tough balancing act.
I agree. I agree 100%.
It's a very tough balance act, but I hope that there's a situation that arises where we could put him on the practice squad or something and we can, get him healthy, rigorous training, bring him up during the season, protect him as the season goes on, and then maybe work his way back in, but have plans otherwise. And, have him on that spot in the roster there where it is. But it's, anywho, as I say, on a personal level, I'm devastated. I love him. I absolutely love him and what he does on this team. And I was so looking forward to seeing him this year. I was completely excited to see him finally break out as the guy we know he can be. And he's had it taken away from him, and I've seen it so many times now. How many rookies have we been robbed of?
Yeah.
I know we said we were going to try and do a Lions players we've been robbed of first team, and we'd have such a wonderful team that we've been robbed of. Running backs, receiver. I can think of a lot of players we've lost just because the injury bug never let them go.
All right, we did have a question from Grandizer, and he was very upset that we didn't immediately answer it. So I will get right to it, Grandizer.
That's my fault, because I generally do it as I go, because I don't have Matt's organisational skills. So if I lose them, we hadn't got
to the end of our discussion on this point yet. I don't. Yeah.
No. We hadn't. But
unbelievable.
We love you, Grandizer. We'll always answer your questions, Grandizer. Don't worry.
It does pertain to kind of everything that we're talking about here. He says every year we hear the saying, "This is the most important camp of a team's existence." Does that apply to the Lions with the injury to Levi and the depth of pass rushing? Any thoughts on whether it's the most important camp of a team's existence?
I don't really buy into the camps are important. I mean, obviously camps are important, don't get me wrong, but I don't think camp makes or breaks you. I don't ever see the end of a season where someone goes, oh, it was training camp which doomed this season or something like this. I think training camp is there to serve a purpose. In terms of, and it should be, in terms of us this year, maybe it is because training camps of the past, even up till maybe last year's, but training camp for us has always usually been a how many starters can we find, how much roster can we put together, how much help can we get from it. Now we're just trying to put the finishing touches to the roster. We've got the vast majority of starters. We've got the vast majority of our good depth here. It's the real end depth that we're trying to find at this point, as well as the offensive line. So maybe it is an important camp from that perspective, but camp's not going to gel the new offensive line together in a game situation. It's not going to give you any of the things. I think the games are potentially the scrimmages. Preseason is going to be very important for us, but it's if it ends up finding us the depth that we need to make it to the Super Bowl and get there, then maybe we could look back, in hindsight and say, yes, it was important for us. But I just don't buy into things like that because so much can go wrong. You can have the best camp in the world and everything go right. And you can go 0-6 when the season comes and it just balls everything up. So
Yeah.
I get the angle, but I don't think it really matters too much.
Steve has just said it's important for letting new coordinators settle in. The play calling aspect of it, that is key.
True. That is a good point actually, and like I say, trying to find your combinations going forward, it's a good thing for. So yeah, it can be, maybe in terms of the ones so far, it is, because we need to find an edge. If an edge can stay healthy and emerge, that's great. If you can find I think we've found the front three for the offensive line if you can get them together. But for me, the preseason games would matter more. I know a lot of people don't agree, but I just want them to get some game practice in I feel like it, as in terms of trying to get your drills right, you do it in a game situation. That's the best way to do it. But that's just me.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a trope that needs to die. Every training camp's important, and the one immediately coming is the most important because it's now. But it wasn't any more important than last year's one, which was now at when it was now. You know, like who really cares? Like,
I think in like year one, it's just like what we've got no idea. Camp is like we're just trying to put together a 53 at the minute, man. Camp doesn't really matter. We're just trying to find 53.
Yeah, but in some ways, then that camp was the most important because it set the foundation for everything that we did. It made us who we were. So in some ways, I think it's in reverse order. This team is so good that camp probably doesn't matter at all.
Well, maybe again, and I guess it shows like Malcolm breaking that roster the first year. It shows day 3 picks and undrafted free agents that they can come here and succeed right off the bat. Like you bully your way through the vets. If the vets aren't pulling their weight, you can get a serious spot on this roster. So I don't know, maybe we'll have to rank them at some point, have a real serious think about them and what happened there and which ones were the most important for us. It could be. It might yield some interesting results.
All right, let's get on to 2022's draftees. We normally give it, well, I know that Ant, especially you, like to give it 3 years before we do grade some players. And so every year we look 3 years back to look at who was drafted and give it a grade. So we're looking back at 2022, and the Lions kicked off at number 2 by having homegrown hero Aiden Hutchinson fall into their lap at 2. What do you think of Aiden Hutchinson? Is your grade of him slightly impacted by the injury that he suffered recently? Or
no, my grade of him is... So for me, the grade's an A. Like, he has been an A signing for us. He is everything we wanted him to be. And he had to take on a serious role on this team very early. Like, he was Edge 1 the day he got here. And he's had to take that mantle on his chest, and he took his lumps early on, and he's learnt very quickly, and he's turned into one of the most domineering edges in the league. I think the only thing that stops me saying it's an A+, and I mean this in the most respectful way possible to him, is we now just need to see that elite season out of him. Obviously, last year was on track to be one of the best seasons ever by somebody. I think when you pick 2, we want a franchise changer. He's well on his way to being a franchise changer. I think we just need to see the whole season put together as one. And I don't think that's unfair to then say it's going to be an A+ pick, because when you pick at 2, you really want a franchise changer, a franchise-defining legend who's going to be that guy forever and a day. Like, we still talk about Sue. Sue was 2, right? Did we pick Sue at 2? Or am I getting wrong?
Anywho. Calvin was at 2. Sue,
I want to say Sue was at 2. Am I right? I could be wrong.
Second overall pick, yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
And like, we still talk about him. He's not even been with the team since 2016. Like, that's the kind of gravitas that he holds here. So I just need to see the one fully put together elite season where he's the guy and he's it, and that's everything it wants to be. And he's going to do it. I fully believe he is. As long as his injury's not pegged him back, he's going to be. This time of the year, it's going to be an A-star grade for it all. I think what he's done so far is an A. We've just not been able to see it. like he put it together last year, and we were about to see his masterpiece, and we were robbed of it. So hopefully this year, I expect him to start off a little slower, and then once he's played 3 or 4 games, I expect him to be absolutely ruthless, and we're going to see one of the best seasons from a Lions edge rusher potentially ever, at least in our lifetimes. It's going to be great. So they made a smart decision. Let's not talk about who I wanted to pick that draft. In fact, no, because I think that was the Kyle Hamilton draft.
It was
I believe.
Kyle Hamilton who was the number one rated safety in football.
It was the Kyle Hamilton. Well, all I will say is, at least he's that. Like, it wasn't the worst pick in the world outside of that. So
you were very, 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 very high on him, and he's a very, 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 very good player. So I think that's fair.
But Hutch has been great for us. I love Hutch, and he's going to be amazing for us. So absolute A there. One elite season, it's A+, and we're going to the moon with him.
Yeah, I mean, most important player on the defense by far. A captain from day one in mentality. Couldn't have picked anyone better. Shouldn't have traded down or anything like that. Absolutely what he should have been. So A could have been an A+, but I do think the injury brings him down from that just a touch because, Defensive Player of the Year could have been really nice, but never mind. Lions didn't... Sorry.
I was just about to say, I was looking at Grandizer's value here. So in terms of value-wise, player drafted at the right spot, yes. Definitely wasn't a reach. Hutch fits this team, as Ace Ventura would say, like a glove. And impact on the team has been tremendous. They have been exactly as advertised. So Hutch has met every single criteria of his draft pick. It's just he's been robbed of the chance to paint his Mona Lisa. Hopefully that'll be this year.
Lions traded up from 32 to 12 to pick Jameson Williams, wide receiver. And for me, it was a shock move at the time. Terrific value to move up. I think that looking back, was a really interesting pick. Clearly, the kid was very immature when he was drafted. And I think I can say that whilst also saying I think he's been terrifically unlucky in his NFL career because I don't think he's done that much wrong apart from being a tiny bit immature. I don't think the guy's done anything remotely badly wrong. He's just been unlucky in terms of the suspensions and what have you, very few of which were his fault. In terms of his production on the field, he's gone from being a extremely raw player, which I don't think any of us really realised at the time. You had to look at him in college and it was like, well, you can do everything. And he came into the NFL and really kind of broke him to build him back up. He was really struggling with timing with Goff to begin with. And then suddenly this most recent season, he's really putting, out there what we hoped he would. First 1,000-yard season, still leave plenty of, meat on the bone in terms of what he can get out of the season. I mean, he wasn't even spectacularly good last year. This was the floor for him, hopefully, going forward. So it's been one of those ones where the evolving grade for me has been going up and up and up, ready to deliver. On the body of work so far, I think it's like a C+ because of his draft position and what he's provided so far. But if you look at what he might be in the future if you keep him around, you're travelling towards an A pretty damn fast. So this season's really, really key for him in terms of how we look back on his career here, especially if that might end up being his last season. Who knows what's going to happen? We've got a lot of players to pay. What is for certain is he's going to be here, and hopefully last season was the floor for him.
Yeah. See, I'm inherently biased here, so you've
like you're not with this. Everything.
Rude. I am inherently biased with JMO. People know I love JMO to death. I've backed him through every single little skirmish he's had unwaveringly. I just know he's, it's, I love him. I love him to death. And I think, yes, if you're looking at raw stats, if we're PFF watching and stuff like that and stat watching, etc., after 3 years, he's not delivered maybe what we would have expected of him, but for me, I look at it a lot of different ways. One, you got to look at the type of receiver he is. He's a speed receiver, right? First and foremost, he works with his speed. It is so difficult for speed receivers to come up to the NFL and work. Like, how many guys have we seen flame out, even since he was drafted? You know, guys like your Anthony Schwartzes and, you know, these like speed merchanty guys who come in, but they're very one-dimensional. It's very hard to gain a rapport with your quarterback because you're just a threat down the field and, you know,
Trade
you've
on
got no
Burks.
control and timing and how dare you. It's for JMO, I feel like we've seen so much of what he can be for this team. We've seen one, he fits in with the community. The community absolutely loves him, and he probably does more than any of the other guys out there to try and forge that bond with them. On the field, he's completely selfless. People like to kind of make him out sometimes as an egomaniac who thinks he's above the rules and he's immature and stuff like that. But how many touchdowns have I seen him as a lead blocker? How many touchdowns have I seen him been the first guy over there to celebrate with his teammates? How he's one of the most selfless players you'll find, and he just genuinely has a smile that is infectious and you love and you just want to back him. And we've seen his game develop tremendously, and he's getting held to such ridiculously high standards. Like this there's people this year saying, "Oh, JMO's it's got to have a breakout year." Dude, he's got 1,000. Any other receiver gets 1,000 yards in the NFL. He's had a breakout season and he's finding himself. JMO, oh no, he's not found himself yet. He still needs to have a breakout, and it's like, good lord, like what are you expecting here? Especially when you've got another 1,000-yard receiver, you've got 2,000-yard running backs, you've got 1,000-yard tight end. Like there's a lot of bread to go around, and you know I don't you can't I don't you know I think that having 1,500 2,000 seasons, it's just difficult in this team because of how many people you've got to feed. But he's one of the best blocking receivers in the league. He puts his heart and soul into it. He gets used out the backfield a lot. They've been using that versatility in the way he plays. They use him on the motion runs with his speed. He's a downfield threat, but he's also becoming a more refined route runner. And he's been a threat in the small and intermediate sections of the field as well. He's not just a downfield threat. He's a threat you can use all over the field. And last year he started putting that together properly, and you've seen what it's about. But he still maintains that pure nitrous down the field where he just burns anyone he comes up against and no one can keep up with him. He's finding himself. He's refining his game. It's the most difficult type of receiver to adjust to the NFL when you are that speedy. You have great hands, great reactions, all that, and you've seen it come together now. So if you see that player and he carries on playing like he did last year for the next 10 years, you're going to talk of one of the best receivers in Lions history. I think he's going to make this pick value. I would grade it at a B right now. I think he is valuable to this team. I think this team can operate the way it does. This team especially became more dangerous when we started using JMO downfield more and we started lightening the box. I fully believe that. He's the only one who's got that capability. So, it's with JMO, I guess what I'm trying to say is I've rambled for ages. There's a lot of things you don't see what he does. People base it on what you see on the stat sheet. They don't look at the nifty little things he does on this team and how much it means and the overall impact he has on the team, which for me raises it. It's a B. I fully, without a doubt, expect this to be an A triple star by the time he's done. Like, he's going to go down as one of my favorite players of all time here. If we give him the opportunity and if we pay him, which I think he deserves. I do. I just think he's completely misunderstood and people love to hate on him for no reason.
I agree with you wholeheartedly on that last point. People do hate on him for absolutely no reason. He's the X factor of the offense. He completely changes everything. And you're right, the horizontal stretching he did last year was a massive feather in his cap compared to the vertical stuff which you already had. High hopes. Absolutely love him. Let's move on before we ramble too much more on JMO. Next up, Josh Pascal, part of the trade for Jameson Williams. So we traded 32, 34 and a third round pick in return for 12 and 46. Took Josh Pascal, the defensive end. A career, frankly, kind of derailed by by niggling injuries which have kept him out here and there. And for me, it's difficult because if you have a look at all the other players drafted in his sort of range, there's no one really that sticks out massively as someone that they could have picked who's done much better. That there were a realistic draft pick for the Lions. But I can't help but feel disappointed at his career so far, and I don't have a huge amount of hope for him to turn that around. I think that he's a useful player to have, but I can't see him being around long term. I don't think that there's been enough on there to make me think that he deserves a longer term deal. And so for that reason, I am going to put him at a D+. It's not been so disappointing that I'm going to give it a sort of failing grade, but we had such high hopes for him. A lot of people did think he was overdrafted too, but can't rely on him to stay healthy and play remotely close to a full season. When he does play, he's playing injured. Maybe we're not seeing the best of him because of that. But when will we? When will that happen? To your point earlier about actually needing people to be available and to put your money into people who are going to be on the field, he's not that guy for me.
No, it is disappointing, but I remember when we drafted him, and I had big concerns when we drafted him, especially in the second round. I don't know how players have done since then, but he was he was a tweener at Kentucky, and I just don't like tweener D linemen that much. It's always been a thing where they're just, where do they play? Do they play at 3 tech? Does he play at 5? Does he play on the edge? For me, there's very few guys who can effectively do that range very well at the NFL level, and it was always going to be, what are we going to do with him? What's going to be his thing? Because his thing was always run defense in college. Like, he had pass rush ability, don't get me wrong. He was a tremendous run defender. But where do you play him? And it just seems like we've struggled to locate a job for him on this team. Like, we've tried playing him as the big end. He's played on the interior a bit. We've messed around with the D line a lot, and conversely, we've probably messed around with a lot of the players as well. I think there's a reason. Hutch is transcendent. Hutch can deal with all the stuff asked of him, but not everybody's transcendent. So I think it goes to show that, especially with the other edges, it's just been very tough. Like, we just switched him. We didn't really try to take advantage of the interior stuff. We just played him on the edge. He played a lot of D tackle in college. He played a lot on the inside, and we've played him as a big end. And I just don't think it suited him. Obviously, the injuries haven't helped. There were injuries to begin with. But, you get the 274 frame and you think, yeah, well, he's going to be that. But he's not even been that good a run defender in the league. It just, it's, I don't know what PFF might disagree, possibly, but from what I've seen, he's just not been that good. So that was his sell point. And getting to the quarterback was always number 2. And it's just not worked. I would think the only saving grace for him, and I've said this, if we move to the 3-man front this year, play him as one of those 5 techs up front. I think that could be where his saving grace is. Because 1, you've got the run defense in there. 2, when you've got these outside linebackers putting pressure on the edge, it's going to give him more opportunity on the interior to come and make plays against the quarterback, and you might be able to unlock him there. I just think that's how we're set up this year, especially again with all the interior pass rush gone. Hell, I might move Davenport inside. Move Davenport and Pascal inside with Reader or, one of the big guys in the middle. Have them as your 2 big chunky 5 techs and have 2 really fast, rapid guys on the outside. Do it that way. But injuries, inconsistency, just never getting going. Every time it does feel like he's done something, it's been followed up with a niggle. He's missed a game or he's just not consistently got the ball there. And we've needed him. We've needed an edge opposite Hutch, and we invested a 2nd-round pick in him. And it's been tough, but these were the concerns I had coming out of college between us. And it's just not worked with him. So I've not given up. Obviously, Barnes took 4 years. Levi took 4 years. I know it's a 2nd-round pick and you want him to be sooner, but Brad's picks, if anything, have shown resilience in that sometimes it may take longer than you think. Sometimes it's quicker than you think. But the vast majority of them have got to where they want to be. So, but out till September, missing his entire missing for months, not getting to practice on the field with Casey Rogers and the new systems, and he needs this training time. We need him ready for the season to go, not working his way in and been ready for week 5 or 6 and been cold, and it's just a rotten. It just feels like an epitome of his career.
Mm.
He can't get going, and if he could get going, there might be something there, but I would say it's. I mean, where was he picked? Let me just
46.
check. It was. It's rich.
It's rich.
It's like I would put it as a C minus.
So you're higher on it than me.
He's salvageable. He's what the Lions want. He's the body type they look for, but I think there is a salvageability there. If he can work in this 3-man front, there's a place for him here, and he can do what Levi did last year and dispel it all. But it's going to be a long shot, but I'm not quite ready to give up just yet. Even been the skeptic, so those who do like him should really be backing him.
Next up, Kirby Joseph at 97, the first pick in the comp pick territory at the end of the 3rd round. He had some up and down moments early on in his career. One good season right at the start. A couple interesting, one in the middle that was a bit down, and then last season quietly, not so quietly, maybe the best safety in the league. I think it's a fairly clear A+, given the value that you get out of him.
There's no rubbing it 2 ways here, is there? He's been tremendous, and he's now one of the highest paid safeties in the league from the 3rd round. So, mission accomplished. Did we expect this from him? No. We expected him to be good, but not this good.
Yeah, so, not in contention for league's best safety alongside the guy that was picked 14th in this draft.
Exactly. So, it's one of Brad's best hits. And he just ticks every single box, and he's going to be an important part of this team for many, many years to come. And the best part is he's like the heat magnet. Like, he's the one who pisses all the other teams off. So, like, you kind of like having that guy on your team. Everyone rallies behind the guy on the team who just has a natural ability to annoy his opponents and opposite fans. It's like all of us would back Kirby till the end. So he's been tremendous, and yeah. It's just a shame Ash isn't here to gush him with praise, but he's done it enough over the years. So.
I can almost hear him now screaming at the TV, "He's better than A+. What are you guys doing? You're so low on him. Blah, 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 blah." Let's move it on to James Mitchell, drafted 80 picks later at pick 177 in the 5th round. And James is, I think, just a very unfortunate human being. I still like the pick. I still think the pick in isolation at the time was one of the better picks they made. I do not think it's Brad's fault that he was never able to get healthy. What he did at the back end of season 1, where he caught 11 of 11, didn't drop a pass, started looking like his trajectory was going up. I think it's a career that we're going to look back on and say, oh, what could have been. But of course, that was the instant grade at the start, saying I really liked it. When you're looking back on it now and the way that it ended and what's happened since, I don't think you can do anything else but give it an F. It's a real shame, but he literally almost contributed nothing.
I mean, like, the value was an A, the productivity was an F. So, again, yeah, it happens. Some injured players just are not able to make it through. The value for him was fantastic. We got him 3 rounds later than what he should have gone. But it just wasn't able to work. And it was such a shame. But
it was.
Again, yeah, I liked the pick. I wouldn't, in hindsight, I still wouldn't change the pick.
No.
Obviously, if you could give it a do-over, and, there's a parallel universe out there where he became a very good NFL tight end, and maybe a tight end 1 in the league, and you got him in the 6th round or 5th round. There's that world out there somewhere, which just unfortunately wasn't ours. But no, you can't knock them for taking the chance there and the eventuality of it. But yeah, it kind of just goes into like it's a D, really. Because I think the value was so. If we're using the parameters of what Grandizer said, the value was tremendous. It's just he wasn't able to see it through. So, yeah.
Next up is Malcolm Rodriguez, linebacker, picked 11 picks later at 188 in the 5th round. And why don't you take it at the start here?
You know what? Bias, I don't care. It's an A-star. I love him. Malk is... So I always say this, Amon-Ra and Penne and guys like that, they're the epitome of like this team, the grit and everything like that. But Malcolm's the true epitome of this team. Complete underdog, complete afterthought for so many people for so long. He's a 6th round pick, yada yada yada. No one really cares. And he came in and, you know, he's a very good starter for us, Malk is. I think just calling him an adequate starter is unfair. I think he's a very good starter in the NFL, and he's got many a veteran linebacker kicked off this roster because of his work ethic, not just on special teams, but then when he's on the field, he had to wait long amounts of times for his chances, and he took them every time he got them. He stepped in his rookie year, just thrown into the team, and performed really well in the circumstances. And up until he got injured last year, he was having another good season last year. He was in the team again. He was playing. And I just think he is the depiction of what the real Detroit is about. He's an underdog. Penne and Hutch are top 10 picks. It's easy to be elite there, but to really succeed and really have to work your way up from where you're at, because we know our coaches take it really hard on the day 3 guys, and that they give them no mercy no matter how well they play. He broke into that system through that, and I pray to God he gets paid next year. I mean, obviously, he's not going to command a league-leading amount. He will be one of those guys, thankfully, there's precious few of them who will have an average salary in the NFL. Like, we need more average salaried players who can play better than that, because we've just got lots of elite league-leading contracts on there at the minute. But did you expect that from him when we drafted him? No. Well, I did, but from a neutral perspective, from his pick, have we gotten value out of him? Yes. Is there anyone else we'd rather have picked there? No. And is he going to be a big part of this team moving forward? Yes, we hope. But for me, it's nothing but an A-star. It's Brad's best pick on day 3, without a shadow of a doubt. Well, let's say, I don't consider Amon-Ra a day 3 pick. Let's say round 5 or later, like the proper late rounds. It's Brad's best pick by a mile, and yeah, I love him to death.
Yeah, I'm going to give him an A. I think the only thing that knocks him down slightly, as Lisa kind of highlighted, is that he's kind of missed a fair amount of time for injury, and you're going to factor that in. The fact that he's a utility player and a more than adequate starter at any of the positions he plays in, including on offense and defense, for me means that bumps him up from a B+ to an A. But the injuries for me factor in.
See, I'll just say I'm unashamedly biased. So if there is any hypocrisy from any other picks I've made previously, Malk's the one I'll do it for. And plus with Hutch, I did grade him, but I'm grading Hutch against being a 2nd overall pick, not Malcolm being a 196th overall pick or something like that, or whatever he was, 188. So Hutch gets tougher treatment because he's a 2nd overall pick. I think you can be a bit more lenient with your grading when you get to your day 3 guys, because it's all about expectations and what they delivered for you. So, but I admit I'm a hypocrite, and call me out for it, whatever. You know me now. You've known me for 5 years. I'm always like this. There's some players who just, I can't help but stand for, and I can't grade them properly because, I'm just too emotionally invested.
You are who you are at this point.
Exactly. At this point. That sounded like a right lost cause then. It's like, you're lost, we know you are, but, we put up with you regardless, so...
Never a true word spoken. James Houston next up, 6th round, 217, outside linebacker. Obviously, year 1, absolute wonder, was spectacularly good in the limited reps he had. The team never seemed satisfied with him just being a pass rusher, and that really led to the end of his career with the Lions. Then, got an injury just before all of that to kind of put the nail in the coffin. For me, given that he's a 6th round player, and most late 6th round, because it's 217, it's late in the 6th round. I think it's comp pick territory in the 6th. Most of those players aren't making the roster in good teams anyway, so the fact that he makes the roster, then he has the impact he does in year 1, this is more than a failing grade, even though he's no longer on the team. Very unfortunate what happened to him with the injury. I'm going to give this pick a C. I think, in fact, the impact he had on the team and what we believe that he might be was actually greater than what the stats would seem to suggest. Like, we feel about him, I think, even more fondly than actually what he did. It's just he was so remarkable in those, 130 snaps that you're just left thinking what could have been, really.
Yeah, it was. It's hard to grade someone like James. The ankle injury killed his bend. Like, the bend was his weapon, and the ankle just seemed to really nullify that. And I do think the team were a little harsh on him. And I will say this because, again, they hammer home the run stuff, and I get it. You need to have a good run defense if you want to play on the edge for us. You've got to be a run defender. But would you rather have him or Pascal? We've got so many big body guys on there bought in to deal with the run that we've almost forgotten the actual job of a pass rusher is to rush the passer. It's literally in their name. And yes, we need to be able to stop the run, but we've got one of the best interiors in the league. We've got some great, versatile, speedy linebackers to come and help on the edge. Hell, we've got some big hitters in the secondary on the outside to come in and help as well. There has to be room for situational pass rushers in our team. And I think we've just gone too far in the opposite direction where if you're not as good against the run, you get unfairly judged. And they just don't get the opportunity to be able to do it. And it's not like James was pertaining a high place on our rush. He's like edge 4, edge 5. So it's not like he's taking up the edge 2 role and he can't defend against the run. I could understand that, but his place on the depth chart, I think, should have offered him a little bit more of an opportunity to just be what he is, and that's be a pass rusher. I just think we've forgotten that a little bit, and we need to go back to that. Obviously, yes, we need the run defense stuff, but we're talking this year. How many natural pass rushers have we got on this team this year? Hutch, Hassanin, and Hassanin's a 6th round rookie. Like, natural guys who it's their job, it's what they do, it's their skill set and forte. Barnes, maybe, potentially, and you can put into that conversation. But there's not many who hang their hat off specifically being able to get to the passer. We've got a ton of guys who say they can defend against the run, that's fine. But we don't have enough on the other side, and it's created an imbalance in this team. And, Houston may not have succeeded, who knows, but I would have stuck with him a little longer. I know that much. So I think it's a C, purely because of the half season he gave you from a 6th round pick. Was one of the best in the league and was tremendous work. And I think that's that. He did some special team stuff for you. He hung around a couple of years. Great.
Final one is Chase Lucas, 7th rounder, 237. Stuck around for 1 season, I think, as a practice squad player.
It was 2.
Was it 2? Okay.
I think he had injury concerns his first year, didn't he?
Yeah.
But we kept him the second year, I believe. He was a core special teamer.
I mean, considering that he was, 17 picks away or whatever it is from being Mr. Irrelevant, the fact that he stuck around for a couple of years means that he gets a C from me. I don't think you do much better from that position, really, most of the time.
Yeah. It's standard grade. What, 7th round pick, last pick there, did some special teams work. It's a C, right? I don't think you can say it was bad. It's not good. I think it's very hard to be like an F pick as like a round 7 pick. I think you really have to do something, like you have to go out there and kill someone if it's going to be an F there. I think you can be nothing but average, no matter really what you do. And he did threaten to make the team. He did have some good camps and look good and that, so inspired competition around him. I think C's fair for that.
All right, so just to round up then the draft class, Hutchinson gets an A from each of us. Jameson Williams, a C+ from me, a B from Ant. Josh Pascal, D+ from me, C- from Ant. Kobe Joseph is an A+ from both. James Mitchell, an F from me, a D from Ant. Malcolm Rodriguez, an A from me, an A* from Ant. And James Houston, Chase Lucas, both C's for both of us. So you just rate higher than I do, generally speaking. I think that speaks to our nature. I think that even though I would say I'm probably more of an optimistic person than you are, generally speaking, you love a little bit harder when it comes to the players. I don't think that's the secret.
No, I think this was just a draft where, like, Mitchell and Rodriguez, like, we have our rep as day 3 guys. Like, a lot of my day 3 guys came through that year. So I form an emotional attachment with these guys years before they reach the NFL, so I always look on them a bit more favorably. And it is my downfall in life. I'm never going to be unapologetic for that. But like with JMO, with James, both of them, like I really wanted to see him succeed. And I just generally look on it a tad bit more favorably. But overall, it was a heck of a draft class, a heck of one. You've got when Malcolm's healthy, you've got one, two, three. You've got two elite starters. One who's going to be an elite starter, JMO. Like in 12 months, you can officially call him an elite starter. Malcolm's the starter. Pascal has been a rotational guy. He's been in the rotation. You've got a lot of first team reps and productivity out of this class. So it's one of his better ones. I think 3 years in, I don't know, we're not overall graded the class yet, but I'm just willing to say it was a great one.
It was a great one. All right, we are going to pivot to our final segment of the show, which is a very quick little quiz. So hopefully everyone can see, for the live audience on their screen right now, either a website or a QR code. Now, I will say for the audio listeners, this is not going to be the best bit of podcasting you've ever heard. Obviously, the quiz questions you may find interesting, so I'm not going to end the audio pod right here. It may be best viewed on YouTube and Twitch. Maybe. So if you want to have a watch of it there, then please do. Otherwise, be very grateful if the live audience, if you want to participate, would go and scan the QR code. Ant doesn't have a clue what these questions are, so he can participate too, I hope. Let's see here. Come on, people. We need a few participants, please. I'll put the link as well in the chat.
We can take questions for a minute or two while people get in.
Absolutely. Independent Aquaman asks, is Anzalone worthy of having top 8 in money for the Lions? Do you mean top 8 as a linebacker or top 8 in the team? Are there better players to be the captain this season? For captain, on defense in the secondary linebackery middle of the defense, no, there's not better. I'd rather have him than Jack. Apparently Jack still has communication issues. That's something he'll grow into. So definitely would take Alex as captain. Is he worthy of top 8 money for the Lions? Let me have a look and see what that actually means.
I think that's about Amon-Ra territory this year.
So in terms of the Lions, top 8 in terms of cap, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7.5 million, Graham Glasgow.
Oh, in that case.
Anzalone's at 7.2, which is 9.
So he's already on the precipice.
Yeah. Yes.
What a lot of people have said is that just give him 2 years and the same contract he's on now, but over 2 years instead of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think bumps his numbers up enough.
Yeah. Right, everyone, we are going to start the quiz now. So if you have just gone away on your phone from it, please do come back in because we are about to start running the quiz. There are going to be 2 rounds, one on the 2024 Detroit Lions and then one on the 2024 NFL season as a whole. 10 questions, as I have done in previous quizzes. So let us begin. Thank you, Austin. All right, question number 1 is coming up right now. Oh, answer quickest and that's best, by the way.
Oh, my.
Who did the 2024 Lions have the biggest winning margin against? 30 seconds to go for this. Tennessee Titans, Dallas Cowboys, Jacksonville Jaguars, or Minnesota Vikings? Who did the Lions have the biggest winning margin against?
See, I'm just... Oh, no, I got it wrong. I'm just speed guessing here, so I'm probably gonna get all these wrong. I'm just speed guessing.
So, in terms of how that went, Jaguars we beat by 46 points. We scored 52 against both Jacksonville and Tennessee. So there you go. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Dallas, and Minnesota. If you are following this along on the computer or on your phone, that will go quicker than actually being on the YouTube, by the way. So if you're just looking for the answers, you're going to be slightly behind live. But anyway, we will move on to question number 2.
Dallas was the funniest.
Yes, it was. How many rushing yards did Jared Goff have this season, including in the playoffs? Did he have between 0 and 20, 21 to 40, 41 to 60, 61 to 80, or 81 to 100? How many rushing yards did Jared Goff have this season?
Oh, damn it!
It was 61 to 80. Jared Goff had 56 in the regular season and 7 yards in the one postseason game to take him to 63. He's more mobile than you think.
I was just thinking 80 sounded a bit too high, so I just went in the one below. I thought I'll be fine, but yeah, you're all going to beat me, so good luck with this.
I mean, so if you haven't joined already, I mean, I've made the questions quite hard. You may just win if you join now, so please do get involved if you haven't done already. We're going to move on to question number 3. Who had the most kick returns for the Lions in 2024, including the playoffs? Was it Tom Kennedy, Khalil Dorsey, Craig Reynolds, or Sione Vaki? Who had the most kick returns for the Lions in 2024, including the playoffs? Kennedy, Dorsey, Reynolds, or Vaki? Everyone has answered. Anyone got it right? No one got it right! It was Tom Kennedy! Did you forget he existed, or that he was actually on the roster at all? Tom Kennedy won comfortably. Oh, I missed out a person there. But anyway, Kennedy had 6, Reynolds 5, Dorsey 4, and Vaki 2. We actually didn't have that many kick returns at all, because of course, everything went into the end zone because of the new rule. So that's all fun and games. Question number 4.
I'm going to celebrate when I get 1.
How many extra points did Jake Bates miss in 2024? 1, 2, 3, or 4? How many did he miss?
Oh!
It was 3. Nobody right. He made 68 of 71, including the playoffs. Apologies for the just random hanging bullet points.
I believed in you, Jake.
I had to get one in there about special teams mishaps, but there we go.
I only thought it was... I can only remember 2, but obviously it's a long season, so they easily go.
Question number 5 before we see a leaderboard. Who led the Lions in combined tackles, including the playoffs? Who was the Lions' highest tackler? Was it Anzalone, Terrion Arnold, Brian Branch, or Jack Campbell? "15 seconds left here. Who led the team in tackles? Anzalone, Arnold, Branch, or Campbell? Get in your answers now."
I'm fairly confident. Yes!
Everyone got it right. It was Jack Campbell. Well done, everybody. Damn. Campbell with 145. Branch had 120. Anzalone 76. And Terrion Arnold 66.
I'm so at the bottom.
Here's the leaderboard. Dan Pask leads the way. First from third. Austin Ants in 3rd. Carlton in 4th. Well done, everybody. As you can see, that is 2, 3 correct answers out of 5. So we've got 50 more questions to go. You can still win it if you join now. So please do, as we move on to question number 6. Who led the Lions in tackles for loss in 2024, including the playoffs? Was it Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, Alex Anzalone, or Brian Branch?
Oh, yes.
And it was Brian Branch. 2 people went Hutchinson after only 5 games. Ooh. Branch had 10 to Anzalone's 9, and Lee McNeil and Hutchinson had 7 apiece for joint third. Alrighty then. Question number 7. Rank these lines by yards from scrimmage from best to worst. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. You have to get them all in the correct position to get a point. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, and David Montgomery. You have a bit more time on this question to rank these guys. Who had the most? Who had the least?
Oh, no!
Not quite right. Jahmyr Gibbs first, Amon-Ra St. Brown second, David Montgomery third, Jameson Williams fourth, and Sam Laporta fifth. Gibbs had 21.04, Amon-Ra 14.06, Montgomery 11.44, Jameson Williams 2 behind on 11.42, and Sam Laporta was lucky sevens, 7.77.
Oh, 2 yards, man. That's cruel.
All right. Next one is question number 8. 3 questions left in this Lions part of it. Lions were NFC's number 1 seed in 2024. When was the last time this happened? It never happened. It was 1991, 1962, or 1931. It has never happened. 2 people went for 1991. In 1991, the Lions won 12 games. They were the 2 seed and were knocked out in the championship game by the Washington Redskins. 1962 and 1931, sorry, my typing is terrible, 11 wins apiece, but was only good for second in each of those. And in fact, in 31, the NFC did not exist, so it couldn't have been that anyway. I don't think it existed in 62, actually, either, because the merger would have been in 70. Yes, so it didn't exist in 62 either. But anyway, so kind of a trick question. Apologies. Right, question number 9. Rank these Lions defenders by passes defended from best to worst. Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, Terrion Arnold, and Carlton Davis. So your lead defensive backs in each position. Who had the most passes defended from best to worst? Kirby, Branch, Arnold, Davis. Time running out quickly here, but everyone has answered in time. And it was Branch, Kirby, Davis, Arnold. No one got that right. Branch had 18, Kirby 13, Davis 11, and Arnold 10. Of course, safeties always end up with more passes defense by nature of their position compared to the corners, but there we go. Pretty close, really, all told. And I mean, with Joseph's interceptions in there, you would have thought that the passes defense would have been higher for him, but it wasn't to be. Final question in the Lions part of the quiz, question number 10. For receivers, i.e. wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs who caught more than 5 passes, who had the highest success rate in the regular season per Pro Football Reference? Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, or David Montgomery. So that's on first down getting 5 or more yards, and on the other ones getting half the distance, or a first down on third down. Who was most successful? It was David Montgomery. David Montgomery caught more than 5 passes and had the highest success rate.
Running backs get screens and all that sort of stuff. They get the stuff that's all blocked for them. So
you say that, but Montgomery had almost 74%. Jahmyr had 56%. So there was a big difference there. Jahmyr was last on this list.
Yeah, but Jahmyr plays out the slot as a receiver. Monty doesn't. So Monty gets the dump offs and stuff like that.
Yeah, there we go. Amon-Ra was at 70%. Laporta 57%. Jahmyr 56%. All right. Let's have a look at the leaderboard at the end of the Lions round. And Ant has called up big time to Dan Pask. A little bit of a gap then to Austin in third and Carlton in fourth. But there's still plenty of time to come back because there's 10 more questions in the NFL round, which starts right now with question number 11. Who won the most games in the 2024 NFL season, including the playoffs? Is it the Lions, Eagles, Chiefs, or Bills? Who won the most games in the season, including the playoffs? Of course, all of these teams scored very highly in the regular season. 2 went for the Eagles, 2 went for the Chiefs. The answer was the Eagles. The Eagles went 14-3 in the regular season and 4-0 in the playoffs because, of course, they had the wildcard game to play as well. And, of course, because they beat the Chiefs, that put the Chiefs down at 17 wins. The Eagles had 18. The Lions had 15. And the Bills also had 15 wins. Question number 12. Which team conceded the most points in the playoffs? Was it the Lions, Eagles, Commanders, or Chiefs? Which team conceded the most points in the 2024 NFL playoffs? Think back to your high-scoring games. Who were they against?
Ooh.
Only one of you said the Chiefs, and you were correct. Well done. The Chiefs conceded 83 to the Eagles 77, Commanders 74, and the Lions 45. Of course, the more games you play, the more points you will concede, and the Chiefs conceded a heck of a lot to the Eagles in the Super Bowl. That's what did it for them. The Eagles were well clear before the Super Bowl. All right. Next up, question number 13. The Lions scored the most points in the regular season, but who was second? Was it the Ravens, the Bills, the Commanders, or the Buccaneers? Lions scored the most points in the regular season. Who was second? And the answer is the Buffalo Bills. Most people went for the Ravens, but that was not quite correct. The Bills have 525, Ravens 518, Bucks 502, and the Commanders 485. They were second, third, fourth, and fifth in order. Question number 14. As we go down the stretch here, which team had the most fumbles in the regular season? Was it the Patriots, Titans, Dolphins, or Cowboys? 4 really good teams there, obviously.
I'm going to be disappointed if this is wrong. Oh, no!
Everyone went for the Titans, and you were all wrong. It was the Patriots, but you were, pretty close. These guys were all up there. The Patriots have 30 fumbles. Drake May did, of course, have his issues last year holding on to the ball. I think that's what caused a lot of that. Cowboys were second with 29, and 30 equal the Titans and the Dolphins with 28. Last question in this half of the second round. For 15, which team kicked the most short field goals less than 30 yards in the regular season? Is that the Bengals, the Bucks, the Commanders, or the 49ers? So which team managed to drive a long way but not finish it off? You guys have done very well there. 3 out of you have gone for the 49ers, which was right. They got 12 short field goals. All the others had 11. The 49ers could not finish it off in the red zone. Looking at the leaderboard halfway through the final round, and it's got even closer, but Dan Pask hangs on to position number 1 and is only 18 points behind, but a really good round for both Austin Damon and Carlton Davis. They are catching up big time. Big round there by Carlton. 5 questions to go. Anyone can win it. To be honest, if you get 5 out of 5 in the last round, you might still win, so come and join now as we go into question number 16. Which team led the NFL in both gross and net punting yards in the regular season? Was it the Bears, Seahawks, Browns, or Titans? I bet no one gets this right.
Oh, what?
Did you go Bears?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. It was the Browns too. You got it right, though. You fooled me. Browns, I don't know why they didn't put the net punting average there, but they had 4,387 gross punting yards, which was more than 400 ahead of the Bears. Seahawks were in third, Titans in fourth. The Bears were second in both metrics, but it was very much the Browns in first in both. I mean, when you don't have an offense which can do anything, that doesn't help. Question number 17. Which team converted the most fourth downs in the regular season? Was it the Lions, the Falcons, the Bears, or the Browns? Famously, aggressive teams there, and also famously bad teams from last season in there too. So an interesting mix. Everyone's answered, and the answer is the Browns. What I said about them being bad offensively and punting a lot, that with the fourth downs as well. They were chasing games and they had a lot of fourth downs they faced. So they went for it a lot. The Browns had 24. The Bears had more than the Lions with 23. The Lions had 22 and the Falcons with 21. Let's go for question number 18. We're 3 away from home here. Who led the NFL in quarterback hits in the regular season? Was it Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Leonard Williams, or Zach Allen? Who led the NFL in quarterback hits in the regular season? Was it Garrett, Hendrickson, Williams, or Allen? Make your choice now. Split the vote between Garrett and Hendrickson, but it was Zach Allen. Remembering, of course, quarterback hits are where you hit the quarterback, but you haven't quite finished off the sack. Garrett and Hendrickson just a bit too good for this, unfortunately. Zach Allen had 40 to Hendrickson's 36. Garrett only had 28, and Leonard Williams also had 28. Garrett gets sacks, not quarterback hits. They don't count as the same thing. Might be splitting hairs, but that's what the metric is. Hey, what a season by Zach Allen, though. Penultimate question coming up. It's anyone's game. Question number 19. Rank these receivers by the number of first downs achieved in the regular season from best to worst. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, Trey McBride, Justin Jefferson, and Jamar Chase. And if anyone gets this right, I'll give you the money myself. That's a line from the UK version of Family Feud, by the way. We call Family Fortunes, if you weren't aware. First downs achieved, best to worst, everyone's answered. It was Chase, St. Brown, London, McBride, and Jefferson. Yes, you heard that right. Trey McBride got more first downs than Justin Jefferson. How about it? Chase was 75, St. Brown was 73, London 67, McBride 63. Justin Jefferson only had 62 first downs all season. Maybe he's not as good as we thought. Anyway, the final question's coming right now. I think the person who gets this question right the fastest will win. So we shall see how this goes with question number 20. Joe Burrow won Comeback Player of the Year. Who came second? Was it Sam Darnold, Damar Hamlin, J.K. Dobbins, or Tim Patrick? 20 seconds left. Everyone's answered. Comeback Player of the Year, second place was J.K. Dobbins. No one got it right. 3 went to Sam Darnold. 1 went to Damar Hamlin. You've all fucked it, boys. Could have won it there, but no one got it right. Let's have a look then at those points. J.K. Dobbins got more than double what Sam Darnold got in voting. Damar Hamlin 6 points behind Darnold. Tim Patrick actually was 6th in Comeback Player of the Year, which I thought was nuts. That's why he got in over Christian Gonzalez, who was actually 5th. But there we go. So, after all of that, who's won? Drum roll, please. The winner is Dan Pask. Dan Pask has done it. He held it from start to finish. Dan Pask will win with 552 points. A great final round for Carlton as well, who leapfrogs into 3rd place and holds on to 2nd. Well done, everybody. 2024 in the books for this quiz. I hope you enjoyed that. I think we're going to refresh it potentially with one in our 24-hour show. Hope that you enjoyed it. And any thoughts on on that quiz?
Oh, it was very good. It's just a lot of these questions that catch you out, and you're like, "Oh yeah, No, you're like, oh god, quarterback hits, stuff like that. It's not really stuff you pay too much attention to, but it's good. It expands the knowledge in there. So, but my overall NFL knowledge gets hurt by the amount of college work I do. So it's tough to do it all. I can't do it all. So like that's why I do these quizzes. They just refresh me a little bit. But I'm happy with second. I didn't think I'd get one right, to be fair. So, but yeah, well played, or well played, Dan. If I'm going to lose to anybody, someone of Dan's stature is this person I would lose to.
All right. Well, that's going to do it, I think, for our show. It's been a great comeback one. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Much appreciated. We are back tomorrow with a college football podcast. And remind us what we're talking about again.
So we're going through. So last week we went through the preseason All-Star teams for the Power Four. This week we're doing the Group of Five. We're picking our favourite players from those teams and position groups. And then next week, me and Ryan are doing our teams for the year of players that you need to watch. So we're in that period. We're focusing a lot on players at this moment in time. So if you like your Group of Five players, then tomorrow's show is for you.
We'll be back. Not this time next week. We'll be back on Monday next week, and it will be a pre-season preview show. We're not going to do previews for every single pre-season game. It feels a bit fatuous, really, with more going on with training camp and fractionally. Pre-season is really kind of just about what you're looking for overall, rather than each individual game. So we're going to preview the entire pre-season games this time next week, and then our 24-hour show will be the Saturday after that Monday, not the same week, but the one after that. So we're going to give ourselves the Monday off the week after the next one. I'm making this really complicated. We've got a show next week about the preseason. I'll tell you guys about the 24-hour show after that. But yeah, again, if you've got suggestions for it, we're badly in need of content ideas just to fill the time. It's going to be a bit of a slog for us. The best thing you guys can do for us is to get the word out. We'd love it to be well received and well viewed by people. We're going to try hard to get some really special guests for you guys. If you have any guests that you'd like to see, if you have any connections for people you'd like to see, if you can tweet at any people that you'd like to see, get them in contact with us. That'd be absolutely fantastic. We're going to talk to some people that we know, of course, the connections we've made all the way through this too. Hopefully that's going to make it a great show. You know where to find us on our socials. I won't bore you with that. And amazing to do this with you, man. I didn't realise how much I missed it until we did it just now. So, thank you.
No worries. Good to have you back, and it's good to be back as always. So yeah, it's season's here. We can ramp it up now. We can talk about some real stuff. It's good fun. So yeah, it's enjoyable.
9 days, guys. 9 days until the Lions play the first preseason game before the 2025 NFL season gets going. We hope to see you tomorrow for the College Football Podcast. But for now, let's go Lions, one pride.
Au revoir.